Hi there, my name's Nick Dutch, and today I'm doing a video which is debunking a skeptic into the Ouija board. The message of this particular video appears to be about bullying, but essentially the only real mention to bullying, both psychological and or physical, is in the text beneath the video itself, and suggesting the backgrounds of the title sequence being in purple is a reference to bullying and bullying must stop. Now, although I'm in perfect agreement that bullying must come to an end one way or another, and that there are people who are involved in religious cults and in New Age cults who do forms of psychological bullying and abuse, some of which I myself have personally experienced firsthand, unfortunately. The main bulk of the video is not addressing bullying. The main bulk of the video is addressing the Ouija board and is an attempt to debunk the Ouija board. But as far as his methodology of investigating the Ouija, it is highly questionable. And as a result of that, the rest of this video, which I'm doing for you today, will be debunking his debunking of the Ouija board. Hi there, my name's Nick Dutch, and today, in this video that you're about to see, I'm going to debunk a Ouija board skeptic. And we're going to do so with reference to a video on the Unmasked Magician YouTube channel, which is spelled with a capital T, a capital U, and a capital M. It's all one word, and all the rest of the letters are lowercase. I will hopefully be able to link the video below, and I intend to submit this as a video response. Now, I'm going to do what I traditionally do, and that is to play the video and stop it at key moments, and then we can have a look and see basically what he's saying and what my response is to his various different points. So, here we go, let's start the video. Remember, I'm here to debunk a skeptic.
You know, it's amazing how many people are actually afraid of a Ouija board.
That is true. Lots of people are afraid of the Ouija board, primarily because there's tons of myths. There is a massive disinformation industry, which is worth rather a lot of money, and which lots of people want to participate in. On top of that, there is extreme fundamentalist Christianity, which will do anything to terrify people to carry on being followers of their conservative ideology. So it's not surprising that there's lots of fear associated with the Ouija.
It's not spirits and demons that move the plane, Chet. It's the power of suggestion.
Well, actually it's a little more than that. The vast majority of the opinion is that it's the ideomotor effect, which means that there's something which happens in the mind which can have an impact upon your fingers, and then it's the fingers which then move the planchette. So it starts with the mind, or possibly, and I would argue, something else may have an impact upon the mind itself. But that's still hypothetical. So let's have a look and see what the rest of this guy's talking about.
Now, I personally have taken the Ouija board to a graveyard on 2 different occasions.
Only 2.
And made an honest attempt to try to contact the spirits.
Okay, so you're saying it's an honest attempt to contact the spirits. Alright, by what standard is this an honest attempt to contact the spirits? Were you taking into account things which are known first and foremost, such as the ideomotor effect and how important it is? Have you spent a long time training yourself, training your mind and your body to be able to recognize where the letters are and to be sensitive to things happening within your own mind and possibly hypothetically outside of your own mind? Have you spent hours, accumulated hours over a long period of time, training yourself by maybe, just like if you were learning how to type, you might type into the keyboard, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog many times, so you can get a feeling for where all the letters are on a keyboard, so you can train yourself to type faster? Have you maybe for, let's say, half an hour every single night used the planchette and moved it with your fingers to the letters spelled out, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog, time and time and time again, so you can get a good feeling, your brain can get a good feeling and used to precisely where each and every single letter is. On top of that, have you trained yourself in meditation of various different types so that you can actually reach the state of mind where more things are more likely to well up from your mind and provide apparent answers to the questions which you pose to the board? And on top of that, have you actually thought of getting more sensitive to things which might possibly hypothetically be happening outside of yourself, and precisely what methods have you chosen to do this? Have you taken, let's say, 90 days minimum to give yourself some form of training, because that period of time is what is recommended in order for the neurogenesis and neuroplasticity effects within the brain to actually start, to take some real effect? Have you done that?
And nothing happened. The plane...
Nothing happened at all? Are you sure you're being honest?
The planchette did not move. I did not feel a presence of any kind.
Well, maybe you haven't done enough meditation. And if the planchette didn't move, was it just yourself doing the seance? Was someone else doing the seance? Did you actually have your fingers on the planchette?
No paranormal activity occurred whatsoever.
Well, that depends upon what you define by paranormal activity, and hypothetically how sensitive you are to it. So essentially, you have no way of knowing whether something paranormal did happen. Did you use infrared cameras? Did you use digital voice recorders to try and catch any forms of EVP activity? Did you find any way of measuring the electromagnetic activity within the atmosphere and the environment? Doesn't sound like you did.
With this, there's nothing to be afraid of. It's made by Parker Brothers.
That's right. Some of the earlier mass-produced boards were made by Parker Brothers, and I think it was a guy called Flood, was it, who created and marketed the very first one. The word Ouija is of mysterious origin, not necessarily supernatural origin. Some people say it was the product of a seance that was done on the very first board that was made. We don't know. But of course, there is one possibility. There could be the words oui and ja, namely the French and German words for yes, and being put together to make something which is cool. But in practice, it's just a trade name.
But tonight, I'm going to take the Ouija board down to the graveyard and make a third and possibly final attempt to contact any spirits or demons.
So now we should be able to see his own method of how he does this, alright? Taking into account everything which is known about how the Ouija works, we should be able to make a fair assessment as to whether the unmasked magician is taking the Ouija board seance seriously or not.
Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
Okay, so I'm at the graveyard. We've got a full moon out, as you can see. And, got the Ouija board. Let's see if we can make some contact.
Okay, so he's just laid the board down on the ground. He's got a flashlight, a torch, so he can see, because it is night. There is a full moon. That all came out on the footage.
My lights on.
Now
and we'll put the planchette over the O.
Right, so he's put the board on the ground. He seems to be standing up. According, from the camera angle, we can see he's standing up. And he's placed the planchette on the letter O. And he's standing back. His fingers are not touching the planchette. He plainly does not understand the ideomotor effect, or in fact that the ideomotor effect is an important part of the actual exercise of using a Ouija board.
Are there any spirits present?
This is fucking hilarious, because this guy is not touching the Ouija board, he's not touching the planchette, and he's talking to it without even trying to use the ideomotor effect. Right, the most basic thing that I mean, this is hilarious. Nothing's happening.
I command and conquer any spirits,
He's still not touching the planchette.
demons, ghosts. Move the planchette.
He doesn't have his fingers on the planchette, and he regards himself as being an honest skeptic. An honest skeptic. Is there anyone in like my studio audience, namely the viewers of this video, who is not laughing themselves into agony by now? An honest skeptic.
Acknowledge your presence. Come forth. Is there anybody out there?
Nothing's happening. I'm not surprised, actually, because he doesn't know what on earth he's doing.
I'm not feeling anything.
Well, you'll probably be feeling a bit chilly, it sounds like. There's a gentle wind in the background.
I don't see any ghosts or anything out there.
Well, you're unlikely to. You're probably not a spiritualist medium. You probably haven't done enough in the way of spiritual exercises such as meditation that might alter the mind to be able to allow you to have some form of sensitivity to anything which is vaguely abnormal. And you're surprised? You are surprised? Oh, crikey. Still nothing's happening.
Any spirits that might be present show evidence of the great beyond. Come forth.
He's just saying this stuff for effect, you can tell it. Throughout all of this, his fingers have not been on the planchette at all. At all. And he thinks he's honestly disproving the Ouija. I mean, the only thing he can actually be properly disproving is some of the extreme conservative Christian myths which have arisen out of all this, you know, satanic panic and devil worship bollocks which people talk about. That's what he could be debunking. But essentially, he's not even trying to think about what is already known about the use of the Ouija board, and indeed the ideomotor effect, which is something which is said even by skeptics as to how the Ouija works, and how the pendulum dowsing works, and all that kind of stuff. He hasn't gone into this.
If the spirit world exists, show the evidence now.
Well, I'm sure it would show the evidence now if you had your fucking fingers on the planchette, mate.
Does Christine O'Donnell practice witchcraft? Well, I don't see any ghosts. I don't see any zombies.
Zombies. Alright, you're in a graveyard somewhere in America, one assumes. Okay? Zombie practices is much more sort of, isn't it a Haiti or Tahiti type thing? No, Haitian, that's right. And what they would do is they take a living person and drug them until they're pretty much brain dead and just work as a slave. These are living people, not dead people. So you don't even have your terminology right.
Nothing. No paranormal activity.
And precisely how do you find paranormal activity, and what mechanisms have you used to try and measure it? Oh my god.
And we're still on the O.
Yeah, and the reason for that is you haven't even tried to exploit the ideomotor effect, because you are a loser and a dishonest skeptic. Alright. I could play the rest of the video, but the bottom line is, I think you get the message. This is a skeptic who has not tried to be scientific about the Ouija. He's not tried to be scientific about the ideomotor effect. He's not even tried to be honest. And this is him trying his honest, third and final alleged attempt to investigate the Ouija board. His debunking is based upon lies.